Hey everybody, welcome to the Biz STL podcast. I'm your host, Mike Miller. The Biz STL podcast is where we meet with leaders from around St. Louis to learn more about how they've built their businesses, what they see for the future of St. Louis's business scene, and how some of their greatest lessons just might serve as learning opportunities for your own career. This episode of the Biz STL podcast is sponsored by Jingle STL. When it comes to St. Louis success stories, the Marson family certainly fits the bill. In 2011, Jan and Dave Marson, along with their son Sam, launched Nature's Bakery, a snack brand built around fig bars that supported active lifestyles and health-conscious living. Nature's Bakery products were a hit with consumers, and not long after getting off the ground in Nevada, the Marsons expanded into Missouri with a manufacturing facility in Hazelwood. In only a decade's time, Jan and Dave Marson came up with their idea, went to market, scaled the company, and then sold it to Kind in 2020 for a reported $400 million. But even after selling the business, the Marsons weren't done with the food industry, or St. Louis. In recent years, the family has overseen Marson Foods, which specializes in manufacturing waffle products for all sorts of food industry channels. Not only does the new company still have a St. Louis presence, but earlier this year, the Marsons celebrated the opening of a $35 million, 150,000 square foot production facility right in Hazelwood. At the same time, they've doubled down on their investments in St. Louis, founding the Serving Our Communities Foundation, which supports food entrepreneurs, farmers, and consumers from field to shelf. On today's episode, we hear from Jan Marson and Tyler Wallace, the COO of Marson Foods, about getting their impressive new facility online, lessons learned from launching and selling a family business, and the latest work being done by the foundation. All that and more to come on today's show. Hang tight. We'll be right back. Looking to elevate your company holiday celebrations? Book your festive party at Jingle STL. This winter wonderland, located at Car Shield Field in O'Fallon, Missouri, is open for holiday parties from November 22nd to December 31st. With themed holiday suites for groups of every size and spectacular views of Jingle Village, it's the perfect spot for companies to celebrate together with cheer. Don't wait, dates are filling fast. Book your suite today at jingleholiday.com/book-a-party. All right, welcome back. Today's guests are Jan Marson and Tyler Wallace of Marson Foods. Jan is president and co-owner. Tyler is COO of the company, which produces waffle products for K-12 institutions and food service channels across the country. You all have some really interesting things going on. I'm really excited to learn more. Jan, Tyler, it's a pleasure to have you here with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, before we dive in, we start each episode with a round of rapid fire questions just to help listeners get to know our guests just a little bit better. We'll just learn a little bit more about you, what you guys like to do, maybe outside of work. Favorite life hack? Do you guys do anything that maybe makes your life just a little bit easier to navigate on a day-to-day basis?
Since we're on baker's hours, I'd say coffee. Lots of coffee at 4 a.m. So.
Okay.
And I start with getting as many steps in a day because I want to have 10,000 a day. So I try to start with that. And like on Wednesdays and Saturdays, Botanical Gardens open at 7 a.m. So we can walk over there and get all those steps in.
That's actually one of my favorite things to do. I am on the same track as you. I'm trying to get as many steps as I can. The Botanical Garden is one of the best ways to do that. Just nice 45-minute walk around and get to see some cool plants. It's a great way to spend an afternoon. How about a favorite restaurant in St. Louis? Is there anywhere you guys prefer to go? Maybe if you're just coming into town, meeting folks, or just trying to enjoy a nice night on the town.
I I'm a big fan of Casa Don Alfonso, and I'd say Charlie Gito's too. That's one that's
awesome.
Out there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, outside. Well, my new favorite, I think, is Have a Cow.
Oh, that's a new one on this show.
And it's kind of around Lafayette, and it has some outdoor seating. It has really good food. It has a little shopping even in there. And the people are just like super nice.
That's fantastic. I got to check that one out.
Yeah.
That's great. Well, let's dive in. There's so much I am excited to learn about with Marson Foods. You guys have had a seriously momentous year. After you opened your new state-of-the-art baking facility in Hazelwood. This place sounds absolutely incredible. I think it's something like 150,000 square feet, give or take. I saw you can produce more than 400 waffles per minute, 25,000 per hour. I mean, that's serious output. I was hoping you could maybe take me through the process of just designing a facility like this. What went into it? It sounds like you guys have your fingerprints all over it from the blueprints to where you are right now today.
Yeah, I mean, with a lot of experience in food, you see what works, what doesn't. Once a building's built, there's not much you can do to make it work for you.
Right.
So we were lucky that it was a greenfield project. Dave and I had the time to really draft everything. Construction was just starting, so there was still a lot that was, able to be modified to fit our needs a little bit better. We looked at a lot of different locations, a lot of different cities. So I'd say for the better part of year and a half, 2 years, Dave and I spent just designing in different areas. When we'd hit a roadblock, we'd kind of regroup, and pretty fortuitous that the North Point development in Hazelwood, we were made aware of it. So, I think Dave was in Reno, I was in Ohio. We both flew down and laid eyes on it, and I think next day had ink on paper. So we moved quick. And yeah, like I said, I mean, just the experience that we've had collectively kind of made it pretty easy for us to know what we wanted to do, and then give kind of the construction teams the direction and show them exactly what we wanted.
Walk me through that facility right now. What are some of the things that you did incorporate in the designs of this? All your production lines, refrigeration, everything. Walk me through what you guys are capable of producing there.
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part is the things you don't see, right? So your utilities, mainly, underground plumbing, grease interception for food environment, to make sure we're not, putting effluent into water supply, city water supply. So, those are things that you start planning when the site's dirt. There's no, so those we kind of started literally from the ground up, make sure that, not only those types of things were able to satisfy our short-term needs, but also needs over, 20 years. We don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. So that's kind of where it started, with the things you don't see and the things you can't really put in after the fact. The equipment, I think, for us was the easiest part because it's what we really knew.
Sure.
So there was a little bit of a learning curve in understanding, you know, in plumbing, for example, what are acceptable runs so that they can pitch pipe properly. Things that we didn't necessarily
Yeah.
know because we're not contractors, but we learned pretty quick, and then kind of, you know, pivoted and made changes, and were able to, commit to these changes pretty quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say the most challenging part was the things that you don't see, or you don't necessarily think about. And then the automation is the fun part.
Yeah.
For us, that's the fun part. So
What does that automation look like? What are some of the things that you were able to automate, and I guess how does that work into just the daily flow?
yeah, there's, I would say, no part of the process that isn't automated. I mean, we have most of the people on the line are essentially monitoring the automation. So it's there's no strenuous work on the line. We could run the whole line with 3, 4 people, you know, loading boxes, loading film, very, very trivial tasks, very easy on the body. So lots of robotics involved from start to finish. Inspection, inspection processes to make sure that the product's staying within spec from start to finish. Even down to our freezer is a robotic freezer, so nobody has to go in and work in a -10 environment on a forklift. Makes the space a lot safer. So I'd say that's kind of what our focus was through the beginning. Make it easy for the employee to do their job, make work light work, and not put an employee in an environment that nobody wants to do, or is a tough environment to work in.
How did you know those were the things that you wanted? Did you tour other facilities that were doing similar things? Did you get inspiration from maybe looking around and saying, company X is doing this? I mean, how did you know that these were the things you all wanted to build in from day one?
Yeah, I mean, I think with Dave, biggest thing is, he had to make sacrifices on automation because the growth trajectory of Nature's Bakery was so severe. So in order to get capacity, you needed to maybe make some concessions on, this is what we have to do in order to serve our customers and be able to produce for our customers, but it's not ideal. So,
Technology is improved too.
big time.
So
big time.
learning, I mean, this is probably Dave's 5th or 6th plant he's put up. So it's the dream plant. So,
Yeah.
a lot before it was there was one plant that was built from dirt. The family had when we moved from California to Nevada initially. But otherwise, it was trying to make things work in existing buildings, which that's kind of complicated. And I think thinking about functionality, about cleaning. See, like people sell you all this really cool equipment, but they, sometimes to clean it and put it back together again is a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of mistakes.
Cleaning, maintenance. I mean, those are things we looked at because with experience, we know what worked, what we've seen, what works, we've seen what doesn't work. And, nothing's perfect in manufacturing. There's always continuous improvements to be had. So we, I think the mentality, we don't settle, if something's not quite right, okay, even if it's going to take us a month to redesign or improve the design, we do it. And those are projects that are constantly ongoing.
Sure.
So it's, a lot of it you see through the process. You might not have thought about it, obviously, through design, but as you're interacting with it, whether it's the operations team, the sanitation team, maintenance team, you constantly see things that can be improved. So that's, I think, commitment that Dave and Jan and I have made is that we, continually do things like that.
It seems like just an incredible opportunity because, like you said, the dream plant, the dream facility, it feels like so rare that a company has an opportunity to just build it literally from the ground up and incorporate all of these cool things that you feel are so important to the way you guys do business.
Yeah. Yep. I'd say it's a testament to Jan and Dave with how they feel and how strongly they feel about St. Louis in general. They could have rode off into the sunset and not stayed in the industry. And I think it was important to them that they gave back to this community that was good to them and that helped them be successful. So,
and the machines are pretty cool. The advanced manufacturing, how they all kind of work. Sometimes they feel like they're conspiring against you. They might just I don't know if they're talking to each other, but when it runs, it's really mesmerizing, really.
Well, Tyler just mentioned it, and I think it's worth diving into. Go back a few years. You all used to run Nature's Bakery, you and your husband, Dave. And I believe in 2020, you sold it to Kind for a hefty sum.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, you probably could have retired. You probably could have done any number of things, but you chose to dive right back into virtually the same industry with this new idea, this new concept. Why did you do that? Why did you just decide to sort of jump right back into this?
Dave and our son, Sam, basically started this company and it grew really big. And they got it to about 80 or 90 million in sales before they even took on any money. And so then when we started kind of getting ready and knowing that we wanted to transition and have a transaction, you couldn't sell Dave. He wasn't coming with the company. So really had to build the team on that end. And then I wasn't going to sign a non-compete and keep my husband out of the business because he would drive me crazy. He loves doing things. So I think that's kind of part of the reason. And Tyler has been a really good partner. They really built a friendship. His company, Poland, was a really nice company to us. When we needed something, they lent it to us. They were like true partners. And so I think that's where you and Dave got a friendship and they like talking. Tyler's really good with CAD. They've designed, 100 plants in their spare time. So it was kind of to keep my husband busy. And we really like St. Louis. It's our adopted city. He signed up for Blues tickets for 7 years, so we needed to keep a connection.
That's awesome. Well, it's really interesting to me. You and the family have been through so many stages of business, from coming up with an idea to bringing something to market to scaling to selling. Has there been a favorite phase or a favorite stage of that journey for you guys to navigate? Has there been something that's been particularly enjoyable from the business leadership aspect?
Well, we've bought a lot of equipment in Europe. And so they're going to be going on I can't make it next week, but a lot of equipment comes out of Switzerland, Germany, Italy. So going and seeing the factories where they actually build the equipment, kind of give birth to it. I think that's been really, I
Fun part.
think
Yeah. Yeah.
some
The
of
travel's fun. I mean, we've gotten to go to some cities and some countries that normally, it's not exactly where you're going to go to vacation,
Sure.
but you see parts of the world that wouldn't have normally, seeked out to go see.
Right.
So, and then in a lot of ways, the vendors and the manufacturers there are a lot more advanced than any U.S.
Mhm.
manufacturers in the food space. So you get a good kind of barometer of where the automation's going. You see the new technologies there first, and it kind of gives us an edge here, having, like I said, a 5-6 year plan on where we're going to take the business, what types of capital investments we're going to make, and how we drive volume and drive growth.
That's really interesting. Is there something that you have learned from some of those trips? Is there something you've seen as far as a company over there that's maybe doing something a little bit ahead of the curve that you have been able to implement over here?
Oh yeah. I mean, yeah, hundreds of things. I mean, we typically go into, their automation is super, super pivotal. You cannot produce some of these products and make money without a highly automated facility due to their labor laws, their labor costs, things like that. So, they do it out of necessity. Whereas here in the US, people tend to just throw people at the line. You put more people on it as you grow and as output grows, and they grow, horizontally rather than taking the next step that requires significant capital investment. So there's a big difference in the culture and how people grow manufacturing businesses in Europe versus here.
That's really interesting too. How do you maybe balance that, just the embrace of automation while also maybe not sacrificing labor in terms of people? How do you maybe combine both? So you're not eliminating jobs, you're just embracing both aspects of it.
Yeah, we've never looked at automation as a vehicle to eliminate jobs. What we like to say, or what the way we typically look at it, is we can get more output with the same amount of people.
Yeah.
So you're making your labor force more efficient, more effective, rather than, oh, we're investing this money and we're laying off 10 people, 15 people. That's something that we've never done and never will do because we're consistently growing.
And
So
we upskill the people.
yeah.
So
Yeah, the jobs that they're getting are higher paying jobs in and of themselves because it's a more technical job. You're not just, stuffing things into boxes.
Right.
It's a more specialized job. You get better pay, and we try to hire from within. I mean,
Mhm.
we've had instances where operators want to get into maintenance, which is easily a 6-figure plus salaried position, and we let them do that if they have the propensity and the work ethic to do that and make that jump. We prioritize our people internally. So
Fascinating. Makes a lot of sense though. I'd like to go back to Nature's Bakery for just a second. It's an incredible story of growth. It feels like, I mean, you all launched that in what, 2011?
Mhm.
Yeah. And then sold it in 2020. I mean, that's pretty remarkable to accomplish all that you did in just a decade. Was there anything you learned from that, that growth that you have now applied to what you all are doing with Marson Foods? Is there anything from the 9-10 years with Nature's Bakery that allowed you to grow it as you did that you're now applying to what you're doing today?
Well, I think part of the success was always looking forward like 18 months. And so the family had a machine shop so we could build our own equipment. I think that's something that really gave us an edge. The hard part is when you start something really small, grassroots, the team you put together might not be that same team when you get bigger.
Right.
And even having to transition family members out of the company, I mean, that can be, you know, it painful, hard, but you got to do certain things because at one point we had 600 people working for us. So, I mean, that would keep you up at night, even thinking if we screw up, we're going to screw up things for these people, plus all the vendors, suppliers. There were a lot of, people that we were providing income and livelihood for. So that was kind of some pressure.
Oh, I
We
bet.
just ended up here actually by
I was
chance.
going to ask.
So in 2014, we had maxed out in Nevada, and some distributor guy that Dave met somewhere that was, I mean, we weren't even his client, told him about a bakery here in St. Louis, Theodora Bakery. It was in an old Pillsbury plant, was about to go out of business, was in financial trouble. They had 100 people working for them. And so Dave just showed up here and he signed a little piece of binder paper and he took over the the building. So, we hadn't even ever been to St. Louis.
That's remarkable. And 10 years later, look what you all have done for St. Louis, frankly. I mean, you guys have done so much between Nature's Bakery and what you guys are doing now. It's remarkable. What made you stay besides just having that facility? But once you sold Nature's Bakery, you guys remained committed.
Well, because we started doing things in the community and doing projects. And I took all the zip codes of all the employees across the company and made a commitment. We started a foundation, Serving Our Communities Foundation, to give back to those communities that the folks came from.
That's amazing. It's so interesting. I've talked to so many leaders on this podcast who many of them are from St. Louis. They have St. Louis roots. So it's always interesting to get that outside perspective. And I know, Tyler, you're also not from St. Louis, but
Yep.
you guys have really embraced the region, embraced the community, and have done so much for the community and the industries you guys serve too. Is there anything about St. Louis that maybe makes it easier to grow a business here?
Well, there is kind of the 314 kind of attitude and dealing with people. There's a lot of talent here. I think before the pandemic, we were drinking this Kool-Aid that the talent was in California or New York, the marketing, the design. But we found out otherwise. There's plenty of talent just right here.
That's cool too, how, like you said, you guys have managed to even upskill too and double down and reinvest in just training people and
Yeah.
building careers as well. Well, you also mentioned the Serving Our Communities Foundation, which works to support entrepreneurs and others in the food industry and create sustainable, inclusive food ecosystem around the region. What's the latest? I think you guys are going to be soon releasing a report on some of the stuff you guys have studied over the last year or so, huh?
Well, we kind of ended up starting a movement, Food City, STL.
Yeah.
It was kind of just like an idea. And then we got a team again together, some professional group, and got a plan. And we gave the grants. We had the pitch contest. And at the same time, we had done a survey where we got 1,400 surveys, 999 completed surveys, asking people about food across the region, thinking, what do we need? What are priorities? And so we've been working on getting a publication together from just listening to people, hearing what people are saying. It's pretty common that you hear people want to eat better. They want, even across demographics, people want to eat better. But something we found was this opportunity here in this region is urban farmers and local farmers. And there's just a whole group of the people in different communities doing this kind of work. And
so many,
we're excited about that. Everything grows here pretty well.
Yeah, I saw a stat, something like 50% of the nation's agriculture takes place within like a 500-mile radius of St. Louis. I mean, it's like, if you're talking food, growing food, agriculture, whatever it is. I mean, this is kind of the place to be. So a lot of really cool work I think is going to come from that initiative too. Really cool. Well, that feels like a great place to wrap up. Jan, Tyler, thank you so much for stopping by and sharing all the latest that you guys are working on. A lot of really cool stuff. Really appreciate it.
Thanks.
We'll be right back. Brighten your next office gathering with Entertaining Now, the drop-off catering teams crave. Ready-made and beautifully presented, it's perfect for meetings, retreats, appreciation, or team-building events. Fuel creativity and collaboration with Butler's Pantry. Order now at butlerspantry.com/entertaining-now. Thanks again to Jan Marson and Tyler Wallace for joining us today. I mentioned it a few moments ago, but it's really cool to hear from transplants about what a fertile area this can be for businesses looking to grow and tackle new challenges. It's also always really cool to hear from people who've been through the whole process of launching, building, and selling a business right here in St. Louis. That'll do it for this episode of the BizSTL podcast. Please don't forget to hit that subscribe button and share this episode with your friends, family, and colleagues. Stay connected with us by subscribing to our BizSTL leadership newsletter at stlmag.com/newsletters and follow along on Instagram at St. Louis Mag. If you loved what you heard, show us some love by rating and reviewing us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you choose to listen. We appreciate your support and can't wait to have you join us again. Until next time, I'm Mike Miller.